the name is Brandon Groce. And we are the Game Changers. Designers, creatives alike. We are in a world that runs on value. Our next designs will be the shiniest. Our next animation will be the most buttery. Ladies and gentlemen, Game Changers, let the games begin. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Editor X Live with me, your host, Brandon Groce, and I'm super excited to have you all here. We have Maria, we have UIX Tips, Miss Lisa, and we have Dema. Good to see you all. And for those of you all who are in the chat and who have not said hi, please feel free to do so. And I've forgotten my tie today, guys. My goodness, I had to put it through the wash. You know, gold sometimes needs a little bit of some time to freshen up. So we don't have that today. It's in the dry cleaners. And with that said, let's move on to what we're doing today for our daily creative challenge. And of course, for those of you who are new, how to get started with Editor X, or at least sign up for it. So with that said, let me go into my screen and let's talk. All right, so with that said, if you guys are new to Editor X, please do let me know in the chat. Put one, that'll help me tremendously to contextualize what it is that we were doing today and help you guys with that. And also, I do want to shout out Lisa for asking many good questions in our Discord and also giving us some tips in our Discord as well. So shout out to Lisa, and I am excited to not only showcase the people, Lisa included, to check out some of the submissions in our Discord for the challenges of yesterday. So good job to both of you, and I'm excited to pop those up and share them with who's watching today. All right, so with that said, if you haven't already, do go to editorx.com, go to start now, and create and sign up for your free account so you can join us in the challenges for the next 2 weeks. Now, if you do want to join us in creating exactly what we're creating today, of course, today's challenge is anything to do with scrolling and animation. Specifically, we are going to be working on a project that allows us to create a little bit of a scrolling eyeball on all different breakpoints. So this is going to be exciting. We're going to add some other things into you here if we have some time. Again, guys, I appreciate your patience. We're trying to test out what can we do in a short amount of time that also keeps your guys' attention. So again, this is what we're starting off with. If you guys want the assets for this particular project, you can go down to the link in the description and go to our Dropbox link and download the assets so you can join along with us. What's going on, Lorraine and Kimberly? Good to see you guys here. We have Alicia. What is going on? Glad to see you here as well. So again, to recap, we're basically creating a little bit of a scrolling eyeball here, and then we're going to add some other things and see what we can do. So with that said, let us begin here. I'm going to go to my site edit. Kimberly says, how do I access and work with the starter file? It's asking me to pick an application. Good question, Kimberly. So with the application, so I basically created the starter files in Adobe XD. If you guys use Sketch or Figma, you guys are going to be a little bit short, but hopefully in the future, because I don't know which applications you all use. Right now, we are creating the starter files in Adobe XD, but if you guys are using other applications, we hopefully will be able to create starter files for all the different types of applications you guys are using. So you can either download Adobe XD for free and open the starter file and join along with us. But if you guys have any recommendations on how you would like to receive the files, we are also open to that. Maybe we'll do a Dropbox just with the images, and that can work better. We probably actually might do that. That way you don't have to, nobody has to really worry about what application is what. So this is a pretty simple project here. We really only have two assets. We have a empty eyeball, which is on top of everything, and we have a image, which is basically the Meta logo, because I thought this was very very appropriate for today's day and age. And what is it, 19? I forget the book name, but the all-seeing eye. So what we're gonna do here is, if you haven't already, open up a new site in Editor X, and instead of doing that, because I want to keep my assets I already have in here, I'm gonna go ahead and add new page. Okay, I just want to add a new page, and I'm just going to do new. I'm going to do I3 or I4. We'll do I4. Kimberly says I have Adobe. Yes, that would be great. All right, awesome. So we'll do a Dropbox with just all the assets from here on out. Good thinking, Kimberly. I like the way that you think. All right, so we're starting off with a blank page here. I have no need for the header nor the footer. So I'm going to delete those, and I'm just going to pull down my only section that I have here in my layers. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to go to my inspector. I am going to make sure I have my section selected. And what I want to do is I just want to do 100 viewport height, or 100 VH. And I want to do the same for our minimum height as well, just to set the stage for what we're going to have. All right, next what I'm going to do is I need to get a container in here. So I'm going to right click inside of my section, go to quick add, and go to container. And you can also get a container directly from this plus here, add element, and grab a container from here and drag it if you would like. Either way, I just like the right click because I get to continue just being on the website side of things. All right, so I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch this. And the first thing I want to do is I wanna make this yellow. I wanna get our background color in here. So I'm gonna go to, make sure I'm selected the container. I go to my inspector, I go to my design, and I'm gonna click on the color, and I'm gonna pick this yellow. The hex code is FF231 for those of you who are on the stream, so you guys can decide to pick it for yourself, and rather than like picking the color, you know, have to use a what is it called, a color dropper to figure out what color the assets I gave you are. So we have our container color, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start getting our eyeball and eye socket in here. It's pretty simple. So what we're gonna do here is we are going to go to my add elements, and I'm going to fish for some of our images. So I'm gonna drag an image in our container, just like so. And I am gonna do, we'll do that next. So I'm gonna just grab the iris first, just like this, just the eye. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. If this is not an iris, please do let me know. I don't know if the white part of the eye is the iris or actual this part is. Maybe it's the pupil. I have no idea. But I'm gonna click this cogwheel, and because this is cut off, I'm just gonna reset our image here. Reset, please. All right, there we go. I have no idea why it snapped to a square, but there we go. Looks like it worked. So I'm gonna just pull this in the center of my layout here. Make sure it's centered and centered. And before I do this, I'm actually gonna pull this in so you guys see kind of what we're trying to do. So I'm gonna go to my plus, grab my image, and I want to get the top of basically the eyeball. So essentially with this, and I'll explain it when I pull it in, the part of this, the eyeball is see-through, it's a PNG. Everything else around it is not see-through, if that makes sense. Basically, there's just a hole inside of the eyeball. And what I'm gonna do here is I am going to make this a 90% width of my container here. And let me just make sure that it is doing that. Let's see here. We'll find a good spot for it. Width, we'll do 60. I think we can do a bit smaller. Let's do 50. And so I'm just trying to find a good size for it, for both, just the composition of what we're doing here. And from there, once I feel pretty good about the size of the eyeball, I am going to, or the outside of the eyeball, I'm going to try to find a good size for the pupil. I do not want to dock it to anything yet, and I want it to be still in the center here. So we have our basic eyeball that is on top of our pupil, and now we need to get the white of the eye. So what we're going to do here is I am going to go to my container, right click, quick add, I'm going to add another container. And I'm going to pull this right in the center here. I can also use my alignment tools very simply, and I am going to go to design, background color should be white. Let me see if there's any border. I don't want any border on this. And I want this to be behind everything. I want it to be behind my pupil. I want it to be behind the eye, and I want it to just be right behind everything, so it is just the white of the eye. And also, if I'm going too fast, please do let me know. Guys, we're here not only to teach, but also to learn, and it helps tremendously if you guys are asking questions. And you know, so far we've done a really good job of that, and I've been super excited that you guys have been asking questions, and I can cover the things that you guys are stuck on. All right, so if I click off everything, we can see a little bit of a line here. Okay, so we have the there's a little bit of a line on the top in here, and this top and bottom of here. We didn't crop it beautifully. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this image, we're gonna click crop, and I'm just gonna pull just a little bit top and bottom just to get that out of there. Hit apply, and we no longer have that problem. So now what we're gonna do is we need to make sure that we can actually start scrolling and things happen. Right now, none of that is really happening. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna click my eyeball, what should we call this? Top eye? We'll just call it that. And I'm gonna go to my layout here. And what I want to do is I want this to be not sticky, but I want this to be on the top. Hey, what's going on, Lil? I am French and your videos are amazing. Much love. Yes, we want peace, UIX. Most definitely. And let's see. So we're gonna go to top eye. We are going to, and by the way, Lil, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it, and I hope you get something out of this tutorial. So because we want the eyeball or the top or the eyelid, whatever we're calling it, this yellow, this top piece here, we want it to stay in place. We are going to use pinned. And so what this will do is allow us to decide where we want this to pin. And we can pin it inside of our container, we can pin it inside of our section, but we don't want to do all that. We want to pin it to our page so it stays exactly in the center. I'm still gonna unpin it from the top and bottom, and I'm gonna see if I can get this dead center again. There we go. So now if you guys can see this, before this top eye was in our container, when we pinned it to the top, or really to our page, EditorX took this out and just parented, the parent of this now is the page specifically. And so what we're gonna do with this, let me see. Our next step here is we're kind of gonna leave this alone. This was the first step, our top layer is pinned, great. Now we need to make it so that the section that we have is, we're actually able to maneuver it. So that when we scroll, everything on the page moves. So what we're gonna do here is, we are going to, let me catch my brain really quick. All right, so what I want to do is I want to undock all of this stuff very quickly. And I need to edit the scrolling options. So let me see here. So I'm going to go to overflow content for our section here. And I actually think it's for our container. Yep, it's for our container. So position type, we want to go to, or excuse me, overflow content, we want to go to scroll. And right now, so just by doing that, we saw the eyeball move a little bit. We want a couple things. One, we don't want to show the scroll bar. And two, we want to be able to scroll both up and down and left and right. So I'm scrolling up and down, left and right, but the eyeball is not moving. Reason being is because we have to change some of our width and height content here. So right now, if we look at this, our container and section are the exact same size. Our width is 100% and our height is, it's almost at 100%. So for scrolling to be able to happen is we want to make our container larger than the section. So we're gonna click into here in our width and we're gonna do 105 vertical width, or viewport width, excuse me. And height, we are going to do 110. And these aren't like magical numbers, guys. I have practiced this a little bit. And these are the numbers that worked for me. We'll notice in this project, there's gonna be a lot of finagling depending on your actual screen size and how you actually want this to look. So I am going to do 110 vertical or viewport height for our height. And now we get a little bit of movement with our eyeball. So that's actually pretty simple, guys. Let me know in the chat if you're following along, if you are good here, and I will try to add a little bit more. But that's basically what we want to do for our eyeball for desktop. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that everything stays this way from tablet to mobile. That's why we're sticking with, my brain was like, poop, poop, poop. we missed a cup of coffee this morning, but essentially I'm going to show you guys how to keep everything responsive all the way down to tablet and mobile. And Lorraine is asking, what does overflow mean? This is a great question, and I hope that's one thing we need to pin in our Discord. Lorraine, I hope If you have the time, please pin that in our questions. I just know from working with this that our containers in overflow content, oh, you know what? Actually, I can explain this in a simple terms. However, I do not know why scroll is in there. Actually, no, I do have an answer. So I'll explain this very simply. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna make a new page. Let's see. I'll make a simple one, and I'll explain to you. So I'm going to overflow. I'll explain what this is simply. So I'm going to make this a little bit of a container. Quick add container. All right, and I am going to inside this. I'm going to grab I'm just going to grab a shape. And so what I can do here, what we see right now is that container, inside of it we have a star. And so if I go to container and we go to overflow content, right now we have show. Right now that means inside of this container, even though that this star is going outside of the container, we're still going to show it. But if I click my container, go to overflow content, go to hide, now everything that overflows that container, it hides. Now if I go to hide or go back to overflow content, scroll, now it gives me a scroll bar in which I can actually utilize to view what is overflowing the container. So if I go to preview, I can use this scroll bar to now view what is outside that this container. So thanks for that question. I was like, I'm not sure. I don't know what overflow, that is a big word for me, but I know what it does. So I hope that explains everything. Great question. All right, we're gonna go back to our I4 page, and Kimberly says, I see what you're doing, Brandy. Okay, cool. All right, Lorraine, let me know if that answered your question. I hope it did, and I hope it answered everybody else's if you guys were struggling with that. All right, so now that we kind of have the eyeball here working for desktop, now what I want to do is preview and see kind of how this functions. So it looks like the left and right is, scrolling is working. However, when I scroll up, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here. We get we get some yellow showing back here, so we have some work to do. And of course, everything is, websites are a work in progress, guys. I wish there was like 3 buttons we could press and everything works out. But if we're trying to do something unique, we do have to finagle it a little bit, just like when we're in our programs of choice as designers. We're really nitpicky on pixels. So things take a little bit of work, and one thing at a time. We put something together, we see something happen with it, just like with prototyping or anything, and then we tweak. So I notice that our white, I'm going to go to my layers panel here and clicking on it here. So I'm going to call this white of eye, and I am going to pull this down just a little bit. And I'm going to go back to preview. Okay, we still have a little bit of yellow, and I don't like that the eye goes all the way out of the eyeball. So what I'm going to do here is a couple things. Again, I'm going to pull down the eye white just a little bit, and I'm actually going to edit the top eye here. And let's see, make sure that we are in this position. Okay, at the top of the page and at the left of the page. And let me see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to edit the position of where this eye is, the top eye, this layer right here. And I'm going to go to my inspector, and I'm actually going to move this up just a little bit. We're going to see what happens if we do that. So I'll move this up right here so it's centered. And I can also use these margins as well to kind of guide me a little bit, because sometimes the drag does not necessarily want to move, so we're basically going to use the pixels to move it, just so I'm accurate and I don't drag it in the wrong spot. I'm going to go to preview. Okay, a little bit better. We're going to keep moving this just up. Again, I'm going to click my eye. I'm going to do negative, we'll do 50. We're going to overcorrect. Lil is saying the live replay will be available. Yes, it will. So you'll be able to come back to this video, rewatch, relearn at your own time and pace. And we are working on making it so that you can come back to the videos with the files at any point in time. So great question. Yes, indeed. All right, so we're almost there. We almost have our eye. This is actually looking pretty good to me. I feel good with that. How do you guys feel on that one? All right, so I feel good on this. Now let's move on into our tablet. Now things have moved. So guys, as you know, we have to make certain adjustments, and I do want to make sure if you guys are enjoying what we have for today, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and we have so much more for you each and every day, and we're just glad to have you. All right, so what I'm going to do, the eye is a little small, so I'm going to increase the width here. And actually, before I start going, I do want to make sure that I select my top eye and make it fixed, just because when we start pushing and pulling, I don't want things to move. Things can get really weird. So I'm going to go to my container and also go to fixed as well. Go to white of the eye, fixed as well. And our eyeball, go to fixed as well. Okay, so now that we have our tablet, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, for the sake of quick editing rather than editing in pixels, I'm going to go to fluid. I'm going to do 90%. Make sure it's centered. We have a little bit of -50 here pushing our asset up. So I'm going to just zero it really quick. And we'll edit that later. Now I'm going to go grab our other asset. So our container. Our container got pushed all the way over here. And we don't want that. So we're going to go back to fluid. We're going to make this, this is our section. We're going to do, we'll do 25%. In height, we shall do, we'll just do this 25 just to get everything sort of centered. So we have it basically around the eyeball. Our section, oh, this is our large container. We don't want that. We want the yellow to be expanded. Sorry about that. It's the white of the eye that we want to kind of bring in. So I'm actually going to drag this in to the perfect size I want, make it centered to this page. Lil says, how do you code your designs to make them work? This is actually going to be a live site. So when we're done, for example, with this is actually a live thing. So if I preview this, or even if I publish it, this is a live site. This is working. This is a design that's live, and I can actually publish and send to you guys. And we'll be doing a little bit of that in a moment. So I hope that answers your question. So everything that we are doing here in Editor X, you will be able to, once you're done with it, be able to publish it, and that is a real life site. Real live and responsive. All right, so let's go back in here. I'm going to decrease the size of our image here for our pupil. I'm gonna make sure that's centered. And now we need to get our scrolling in position. So I'm gonna go to, my section is basically our parent. Our container is the thing that we need to edit in order to make it so that the eyeball moves. So I'm going to go to my container. I'm going to decrease this, let's see. I'm gonna unstretch it because I wanna edit the width and the height to be bigger than our section, because that's gonna allow us to scroll, right? So I'm gonna do 105 viewport width and height 105 just to see what happens. Viewport height. There we go. All right, so now that we have the eyeball scrolling, we're looking pretty good. All right, so we are good with tablet, and now what I want to do is I just want to make sure all of my assets are fixed size, because when we start scaling things, if we have it fluid, it will scale things by percentage, and things get really funky. So we want to add some constraints to this so that everything is stays where it should be. All right, so far we've gone through desktop, we've gone through mobile, now tablet. Again, things are all over the place. All we have to do is just tell Editor X where we want them to be, and that's all we have to do to make something responsive. So again, with our container here, Our container is already in a good spot. We already have at 104 viewport width and 105 viewport height. And so let's see, our pupil is a little bit further off, so we're going to center, let's see, we have our container, boom, that's already there. And I'm going to hide this for a second. Don't display. And I'm going to take my container here, the white of the eye, I'm going to reduce this. We don't need all of this. So I'm going to pull this in. I'm going to center this. And I am also going to center our pupil there. And now I'm going to turn our top eye back on. I'm going to make our top eye just a little, I'm going to crop this. Actually, I'm not sure if I want to crop it just yet. We'll see what we can do before we crop. So I'm going to take our eyeball here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to scale this up. See what we can do. Scale this. I'm going to bring this to center. I'm going to zero these things out because we do want our eyeball to be centered on the screen. And we are going to go to our image here of our pupil. We're going to scale it down. And we're going to center it. Let's see. Zero this out. And here's where we kind of have to like hand move some things, guys. So I'm going to crop our image here. Oops. I just scaled it. I didn't mean to scale it. Or I moved our breakpoint. So I'm going to crop. I'm going to pull this. Whoa, I guess the crop is exactly where the handle is. So give me a second, guys. I'm going to crop from the other side first and crop over here, and I'm gonna, hopefully that works in terms of how I'm trying to crop this. I think it should. Pull this in just a little bit more, apply. All right, center this. All right, I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna scale this just a little bit more. Now the thing is that EditorX is trying to a little bit outsmart me here and try to pin things where it thinks I want them. And that's kind of where you're having me see kind of like unpin and do all those things. In a lot of cases it's really helpful. In this case it's overcorrecting for me. So I'm going to take the white of the eye. I want to make this smaller than the surrounding area of the eye because we don't want that to show when we start scrolling. I'm going to bring it to around the size of the actual eye. Okay. Kimberly says, if assets are outside of the viewport, will it cause the audience of the site to see the wiggling of the site instead of it feeling stable? That's a great question. So let me go ahead and show you what this looks like right now. So let me go to desktop and let me go to, let's just go to publish and let's take a look at this together. So I'm going to go to view site. And so this is what we're looking at. So we have the eyeball. You see the scrolling bars on the other side. So you can't see it. You cannot see it wiggling, but you see the bars on the left and right. So this is what it kind of looks like, Kimberly. And this is the published site, by the way. So we have tablet, desk, or mobile. Let's see. It's giving me a little bit of a. It's fighting me a little bit. I want this. All right, let's just see. Let's try to move what's going on and see what's happening. So this is how it is scrolling, and this is what I'm talking about, guys. Where you just have to work with the software. So right now it's being really smart. It's saying, hey, you want things centered, and plus I don't necessarily know what the actual true center is because I have the scrolling container at 104 viewport width and 105 viewport height, and that is changing each breakpoint. So I basically just have to work within the parameters that I am trying to have here. And basically this is perfect. I just need to work with EditorX and be like, okay, this is how it's scrolling. I don't want it to scroll that much. So I need to do one of two things. I need to either move the position of the eyeball, which I'm gonna try to do here. I'm going to bring this negatively down this way using my position here. There we go. And I'm going to use this to position my eyeball upwards. So sometimes you have to be a little bit precise. I'm gonna move this to pixels. I'm also going to, that's already pixels, and I'm just going to do negative, let's do 30, see if we can get that centered. Negative 45, negative 50. Just trying to find a good spot for this. And of course, I could have dragged that there. However, I would have to turn this off, then drag it. I kind of want to use this as a, basically as a guide as to where the pupil should be. So I could drag it, I would just need to turn this off. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to the white of the eye, and I'm kind of gonna do the same exact thing here. I'm going to see if I can drag this centered just like that. And let's see how this is scrolling. So we get a little bit of yellow space here. I'm just seeing how it's interacting, boom, boom. So I'm gonna scroll this down just a little bit, just pull it down. All right, I'm gonna pull this way. And I'm just seeing how this all is scrolling so I can see, is there any white space? How is this, how is this working? So what we have now is everything is scrolling to the left, and it's not allowing me to scroll all the way to the right. So this is kind of where we have to maneuver this. So I'm gonna go back to my container, the container that is allowing us to scroll, or that's what we're controlling with our scroll. And everything in this is moving because we are, everything in this scrollable container is moving within it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mess with this viewport width and this viewport height. So first things first, because it seems that we are having a little bit of a width issue, I'm going to do, let's play with some numbers. We're gonna do width 110, viewport width. And so, okay, we're getting a little bit more of eyeball movement. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna select our pupil here. And I'm gonna move this a little bit over, just, let's see. I'm gonna move this to the right using our margin. And I'm just trying to get this in the right spot. And I think that should be good. All right, so it's just all using your eyeballs, understanding how to maneuver the assets. So I don't like how this is too high here. And I like this position, but it's going to impact how high this eyeball is going. So what I'm gonna do here is go back to my container. I'm gonna reduce the height here and see what that does. I'm going to essentially restrict how far the eyeball is going based on the height that we have. So we have 101. Okay. It reduces our scrolling up, but now the eyeball kind of stays in the center. So what I'm gonna do, go to my eyeball here. I'm gonna bring this down. So I'm gonna use my bottom position, and I'm gonna just crank these numbers down, negative 12, until I get it in the right position, or a position that I'm happy with. Hey, what's going on, Kendia? And Kimberly says, to clarify is, what I mean to clarify is that when an asset is outside of the site parameters, I've noticed that my site shifts from side to side. That is something that I can answer. I'll make another video. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a totally other, that's another conversation. But I know exactly what you're dealing with, and I will do another video to send to you guys in our Discord to answer that question. All right, so for this, I'm actually feeling really good about this. I like the side-to-side action. I like how it's scrolling. I'm feeling good about this. So now I'm going to just go back and forth, just see what's happening here. Now, I am really good from a mobile, tablet, and desktop perspective, okay? There will probably be a little bit of continuing work just to make sure everything is beautiful, but and what I mean by that is this. So if I go to preview, we will see, I actually don't know why this is, what's going on with this. I have no idea what that is. Let me see. Let's squeeze this a little bit. So when we squeeze these things, right, there are portions between desktop and tablet that need to be addressed. And from tablet to mobile, there are some areas that need additional tweaking with percentages, docking, things of that nature. But today, and for these challenges, we are focusing on getting what we need for everything perfect for the desktop breakpoint. So if I go to desktop, this looks perfectly fine. I do not know why there are clickable containers, because we did not set that up. Oh, you know what this is, guys? This is the Editor X label, I think. But yeah, I have no idea what that is. We'll figure that out next time. But there, when you start previewing your work, you'll see where other challenges occur. So for example, when we start to squeeze things, where are things moving? That's how you know where to dock them, where to set them to fluid or to fixed. And it's based on how things are, how do I say, if I go back to edit here, go back to the full desktop, let me see, click, here we go. So the main goal for our challenges is to get you guys comfortable with just the desktop, tablet, and mobile. Everything in between and making it responsive between, like the breakpoints and what happens in between them, those are things that we will be working on later, and how to make sure that they are super refined and that you guys don't have to deal with any of the weird responsiveness. But the whole goal of this is to get you guys understanding the basics, get you guys familiar with Editor X, and all of the complexity of how to make sure that your site is super clean and airtight will come with time. But I want you guys to try some of these things out for our challenge for today, getting started with some sort of scrolling effect, or if you want to, some animations if you desire. So today, this was just a little bit of a practice to get you guys started within 30-35 minutes, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning about overflow and things of that nature. Kimberly says, perfect. There are so many in-betweens. Do you want to address them all? That's a good question. And, you know, sometimes, especially with a project like this, you know, this is very unique. And there's a lot of things, if we wanted to launch this site, there's a lot of things that we do actually have to put in place so the site is actually super responsive. However, I did not put this project in with that in mind. This whole project was put together for you guys to understand how overflow works, how to use containers, how to use sections, how to start using scrolling features. That's kind of the plan, or that's what this challenge was all about. All those other things in between, we need a whole nother segment to talk about that, but that is definitely going to be brought up, and we'll make a whole video about that. We need time. We need more than 30 minutes to talk about that. But good questions, and thank you guys for bringing that up. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed this segment. Actually, before we run, what's going on, Dan? Dan, what is happening? Long time no see. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Let's see. Kimberly says, do you pick and choose? What do you mean? And by the way, before we do roll out today, I do want to give a big shout out to Geek Girls LV, and also another friend of ours in our Discord, for actually submitting the first 2 challenges that are actually beautifully responsive. Really nice job. Excellent work. I was very, it brought me to tears on this one. And my friend over here, I think my, let's see. Let me shout out the name. We have to get the name. And everybody, if you haven't already, you guys need to check. You guys know Dan, so there's no need to repeat that. But Dan, thank you for hanging out. I hope you're well, man. We need to talk. So those of you who want to submit your challenges, let me go ahead and grab and show you guys how to do that. All right. So like I said, Geek Girl LV, excellent job. And we also had a big excellent work. For those of you who do want to share your challenges again, or learn how to publish your sites, things of that nature, any site that you're working on in the edit or preview mode, there is a publish button right here. You go to publish and you get a site just like this, and you can copy, go to our Discord. If I can find, I've got so many things open, guys. Go to our Discord, go to challenge, and you can submit your work within this format. Just copy this, paste, and add your URL here and your name. So I look forward to seeing your scrolling and animated projects today to showcase tomorrow at the end of tomorrow's stream. So with that said, if you guys have any other questions, please go to our Discord and go to our advice, ask a question. Please drop them in here so I can respond to them. It helps tremendously understand us to understand what you guys are working on, what you're struggling with, and help ease that path. So with that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, to do some more amazing things. All right, guys, have a great day. Leisha, Kimberly, UIX, Dan, we had Kendia, glad to see you. We had Lorraine, Lisa, Lil, and Dimma, and so many more. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace, and have a great day. Built responsive websites like this, and even this, for you and your clients within just minutes. First off, you can achieve all of this and much more in the powerful no-code platform, EditorX. On these dates, I will be hosting live daily creative challenges on YouTube to teach you the fundamentals of EditorX and how to create the exact responsive websites you see here, all the way from start to publishing the website. If this sounds of interest to you and you want to improve your EditorX skills, join me live each and every month to get inspired by what amazing things we will create together during our creative challenges, as well as get your questions answered live while we work together. Click the link below to sign up and get notified when the challenges begin, and I will see you in our Discord. See you then.